Hello and welcome. You are watching World Business Report here on News 9 Live. I am Krishna Kumar. And we begin this edition of World Business Report with the deadly Houthi missile strike on a Red Sea merchant ship, which has escalated tensions in the region. The attack, which claimed many lives according to the US military, targeted a Greece-owned vessel, True Confidence, near Yemen's port of Aden. And this marks the first time that we've had fatalities since the Houthi rebels initiated strikes against shipping on the Red Sea in mid-November. Yemen's Houthis said that they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians to oppose Israel's military actions in Gaza.
A Houthi missile attack on a Red Sea merchant ship on Wednesday left several people dead, the U.S. military said. Yemen's Houthis claimed responsibility for the attack, with a military spokesperson confirming it in a televised address. The attack set the Greek-owned, Barbados-flagged ship True Confidence ablaze around 50 nautical miles off the coast of Yemen's port of Aden. These are the first fatalities reported since the Houthis began strikes against shipping in one of the world's busiest sea lanes in mid-November. They have said they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians to oppose Israel's military actions in Gaza. Britain and the United States have been launching retaliatory strikes against the Houthis, and the confirmation of fatalities could lead to pressure for stronger military action. 4 days ago, a UK-owned bulk carrier became the first ship to sink as a result of a Houthi attack, after floating for 2 weeks with severe damage from a missile strike. All crew were safely evacuated. While the Houthis say they would attack vessels with links to the United Kingdom, the United States, and Israel, shipping industry sources say all ships could be at risk.
Chess grandmaster and political activist Garry Kasparov has now been labeled as a quote-unquote terrorist and extremist by Russia's financial watchdog, and that's according to the Moscow Times. The 60-year-old chess grandmaster, renowned for his criticism of Russia's President Vladimir Putin and opposition to Russia's military actions in Ukraine, was added to the list by Rosfin Monitoring, restricting his banking activities. Kasparov, bear in mind, fled Russia back in the year 2014, fearing persecution, and he has since faced more and more restrictions, including being labeled as a foreign agent by Russia's Justice Ministry in the year 2022. Human rights groups view these measures as Kremlin's tactics to suppress dissent. Kasparov, currently residing in the US for nearly a decade now, is continuing with his political activism, advocating Western allies' support for Ukraine as something that's crucial for democratic change to take place in Russia. Away from that, India's Food Safety and Standards Authority, or FSSAI, has confirmed McDonald's India's use of 100% real cheese, as reported by Westlife Foodworld, the company that owns the franchise for McDonald's in India. Westlife Foodworld did that in a stock exchange notification. Now, the verification follows recent controversies over the alleged use of cheese substitutes and not actual cheese in McDonald's outlets across the state of Maharashtra. The West and South zones of McDonald's India also received test results affirming the use of authentic cheese. Westlife Foodworld, McDonald's largest Indian franchisee, operates across 62 cities in India, and it was facing scrutiny after state government inspection threats. Now, FDA chief Abhimanyu Kale is planning checks across all outlets of McDonald's in India, extending to other fast food chains as well, apart from McDonald's. Meanwhile, Westlife's managing director Saurabh Kalra has assured that the company will comply with the laws in India following FDA concerns and license subsection subsequently revoked. Away from McDonald's to Meta, the parent company of Facebook, which is reportedly considering establishing its first data center here in India, driven by the surge in demand for its short video feature, Reels. With Instagram Reels gaining more and more traction, particularly after the suspension of TikTok in India back in the year 2020, Meta eyes India as its largest market for expansion. Now, reports say that Meta plans to conduct a feasibility study in the first quarter of the year 2024, with investments set to range between 500 to 1,200 crore rupees. This move reflects India's significance in Meta's global strategy, as Instagram Reels competes fiercely for user engagement in the short-form video space. Keeping it with tech giants, citing safety concerns, a Microsoft employee sent letters to the company's board, lawmakers, and the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, in the US, warning that the tech giant is not doing enough to safeguard its AI image generation tool, Copilot Designer, from creating abusive and violent content. Shane Jones, a Microsoft principal software engineering lead, claimed that the company's artificial intelligence text-to-image generator, Copilot Designer, has, quote-unquote, systemic issues that cause it to frequently produce offensive or inappropriate images of women. Jones also criticized the company for marketing the tool as safe, including it being safe for children. The US FTC confirmed that it did receive the letter, but has declined to comment further on it. Now, keeping it with artificial intelligence, in a rebuttal to Elon Musk's lawsuit, OpenAI, Sam Altman's OpenAI, fired back, challenging Musk's claims that the startup had strayed from its original mission of developing artificial intelligence for the betterment of humanity and not for profit. Elon Musk's lawsuit alleges breach of contract, claiming that OpenAI shifted focus to profitability, contrary to their initial agreement of an open source non-profit venture. This Reuters report tells you more.
OpenAI fired back at Elon Musk's lawsuit on Tuesday. In a blog post, the ChatGPT maker refuted Musk's claims the startup abandoned its original mission to develop artificial intelligence for the benefit of humanity and not for profit. The Microsoft-backed startup published emails with Musk, which it says reveals the billionaire entrepreneur in 2017 wanted to create a for-profit entity with OpenAI and have it merge with Tesla, using the EV maker as a cash cow. Musk then wanted majority equity, initial board control, and to be CEO of OpenAI. But OpenAI and Musk couldn't agree to the terms, as the startup felt it was against the mission for any individual to have absolute control over the firm. Musk's lawsuit last week alleged OpenAI, which he co-founded, breached its contract. He said its CEO Sam Altman and co-founder Greg Brockman originally approached him to make an open-source, non-profit company, and he alleged the startup is now, quote, focused on making money. Musk and Tesla did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for a comment on the blog. Elon Musk's lawsuit is a culmination of his long-simmering opposition to the startup. OpenAI has since become the face of generative AI, partly due to billions of dollars from its backer, Microsoft.
Meanwhile, Elon Musk's X is considering getting rid of showing the number of likes and reposts on every single post. Yes, you heard that right. While speaking at a media and telecom conference, Elon Musk hinted at some major changes that's set to come to the microblogging social media platform. Elon Musk further revealed plans for a money transmitter license in New York, paving the way for new financial features on the platform. Formerly known as Twitter, X aims to enable users to send payments on its platform. Musk, who recently added post views, suggests a transformative era for the social media giant is set to come very soon. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley has dropped out of the 2024 US presidential race after losing every single state but Vermont in the Super Tuesday primary contests, ceding the Republican nomination to former US President Donald Trump. Haley's decision to end her campaign effectively kicks off the general election, with Trump and President Joe Biden taking unofficial command of their respective parties early in the primary season after a string of victories. Haley congratulated Donald Trump in her address but did not endorse him. Instead, she encouraged him to earn the support of Republicans and independent voters who backed her. Now, away from that, according to research from Counterpoint, Apple's iPhone sales in China plunged by 24% in the first 6 weeks of the brand new year 2024. This decline was attributed to intensified competition from local Chinese rivals. Huawei, Apple's main competitor in China, witnessed a remarkable 64% increase in sales during the same period. As a result, Apple slipped to the 4th place in terms of market share in China. Take a look at this detailed report.
Apple's iPhone sales in China fell 24% on the year in the first 6 weeks of 2024. That's according to leading research firm Counterpoint. The US company took a hit due to stronger competition from domestic Chinese competitors. The report said Apple's main local rival Huawei saw unit sales up 64% in the period. Apple dropped to 4th place in terms of Chinese market share. It was second in the same period last year, when it made up almost a fifth of the market. Huawei took that position as its market share expanded to 16.5% from just under a tenth a year earlier. But the report showed the overall smartphone market in China shrank 7%. Apple began subsidizing certain iPhone models in the country by as much as $180 last week. It had already offered discounts on its official sites last month. Huawei has seen premium smartphone sales rise since it released its Mate 60 series in August. The firm had struggled for years with US restrictions placed on it, but sales suggest it is finally seeing a way out of trouble.
Meanwhile, production at Tesla's European gigafactory near the German capital of Berlin came to a halt following a suspected arson attack that left the site without power. Elon Musk condemned the attack as quote-unquote extremely dumb, with production expected to resume next week. The outage is estimated to have cost over $100 million, and this setback adds to Tesla's recent challenges in Europe, including pressure from workers' unions for collective bargaining agreements and supply chain disruptions due to all the attacks in the Red Sea on shipping. Take a look at this.
Tesla's European gigafactory near Berlin halted production on Tuesday. It was left without power after a suspected arson attack set an electricity pylon on fire close to the site. Police said the blaze was extinguished by the fire brigade and did not spread to the Tesla site. A spokesperson for the automaker confirmed production had stopped and the site was evacuated. Local media published a letter purportedly from a far-left activist organisation called the Volcano Group. In it, they claimed responsibility for the incident and criticised Tesla and its billionaire CEO Elon Musk. The Tesla boss called the suspected attack extremely dumb. Police said they were aware of the letter and checking its authenticity. Production at the car factory is not expected to resume before next week, according to the plant's manager. He further said the suspected attack severed both power lines feeding the facility. He added the production outage will cost more than $100 million. It was the latest setback for Tesla, which has had a bumpy ride in Europe of late. It's faced union pressure for collective bargaining agreements in the Nordics. The company has also seen supply disruptions as a result of attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. Tesla's plant outside Berlin has a capacity of around 500,000 cars a year. It wants to expand to producing 1 million vehicles annually. But environmental activists have built and occupied tree houses in the forested area they expect to be cleared if the expansion goes ahead.
Away from that to Wall Street, where stocks in the US gained ground to recover some of their losses from the day before, which was indeed Wall Street's worst in 3 weeks. US Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said that cuts to interest rates may be coming this year, although he did shy away from committing to an actual timetable for those interest rate cuts. More details in this Reuters report.
Wall Street's major indexes closed higher on Wednesday as comments from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell reinforced expectations that the central bank would start cutting interest rates this year. The Dow gained 0.2%, the S&P 500 climbed 0.5%, and the Nasdaq added 0.6%. In prepared remarks to the House Financial Services Committee, Powell on Wednesday said inflation had eased substantially since hitting 40-year highs in 2022, but that policymakers still needed greater confidence in its decline before rate cuts. Melissa Brown, managing director of applied research at SimCorp, noted nothing unusual in his remarks, but did find investors' optimism a bit surprising.
Where I did see something that was a little bit more unusual was the reaction of traders that we can see through the CME FedWatch tool. And although the difference was slight, they seem to have increased their probability that the rate cut would come sooner rather than later. So it went up a little bit from the probability we saw yesterday. And that was a little surprising to me because he also, he talked about the strength in the economy and, jobs growth looking good. And so I was surprised that even though the increase was small, that we saw any increase.
February's jobs report, due on Friday, is expected to offer further clarity on Fed policy. In company news, shares of Tesla fell more than 2%, losing ground for its third straight day. A closely watched Morgan Stanley analyst lowered his price target on the stock, saying that electric vehicle demand was continuing to weaken in key markets, including China, despite hefty price cuts. Also, a Baird analyst said Tesla's first quarter earnings were at risk, suggesting delivery estimates still need to go lower. Shares of cryptocurrency-linked companies advanced, including a 10% gain for Coinbase Global and MicroStrategy's 18.5% increase. And shares of CrowdStrike Holdings soared nearly 11% after it forecast annual results above Wall Street estimates, lifted by strong enterprise spending on cybersecurity to counter rising online threats. However, rival Palo Alto fell 4%.
Britain's Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt has offered voters in the UK tax cuts in a bid to woo them back to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservatives ahead of an expected 2024 elections, slashing the emergency reserves in the public finances of the United Kingdom to the bone. This report tells you all about it.
UK Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt announced his latest budget on Wednesday, and it could be his last one before an election expected this year. He'll hope the promise of tax cuts can help turn around the fortunes of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives, who are well behind the opposition Labour Party in opinion polls. Hunt said he was reducing the rate of social security contributions paid by workers by 2 percentage points for the second time in just over 4 months. It would put an average of around $1,145 in the pockets of workers a year from the two reductions.
Of course, interest rates remain high as we bring down inflation. But because of the progress we've made, because we are delivering the Prime Minister's economic priorities, we can now help families not just with temporary cost of living support, but with permanent cuts in taxation.
Hunt announced other measures to help voters, including a freeze on fuel duty. He also unveiled the extension of a freeze in duty on alcoholic drinks until February next year and the continuation of a support programme for low-income households. To help make his sums add up, Hunt extended by 1 year a windfall levy on energy firms' profits. He also said he would charge tax on non-domiciled people living in Britain for more than 4 years on their income from abroad. The Labour Party has proposed similar measures.
Britain in recession.
Labour leader Keir Starmer called the budget plan the desperate act of a party that has failed. Hunt said Britain's budget forecasters now projected the economy would grow by 0.8% this year after it entered a recession in the second half of 2023. Hunt also said forecasters expect Britain's inflation rate to fall below 2% in the coming months.
In a positive turn of events, retail giant Target is poised for a promising year ahead in 2024. It announced recently that the holiday season exceeded expectations, with earnings for the quarter surging to nearly $3 per share, and that's an increase of over 50% compared to the same period last year, surpassing all analyst predictions with ease. More in this report.
Target is aiming for a better year in 2024. On Tuesday, the retailer said the holiday season was better than expected. Earnings for the quarter came in at almost $3 per share, more than 50% up on this time last year and easily ahead of analyst forecasts. The company said Black Friday and Cyber Monday events drove selling. It now bets that annual sales will come in better than Wall Street expects. Shares in the firm jumped 12% after that bullish outlook. Target now plans to launch a paid membership scheme starting next month, which will offer shoppers unlimited same-day delivery. It's also planning new and improved stores. Over the next decade, it expects to open more than 300 U.S. outlets and remodel most of its 2,000 existing ones. That puts it in line with other big retailers, including Walmart, Sam's Club, and Bloomingdale's, which are all planning to add new locations. It's a big change in strategy following years of branch closures while under pressure from online retailers. Industry experts say consumers do continue to visit stores, even if only to pick up orders. In its most recent results, Walmart said order pickup and delivery offerings helped drive a 4% rise in traffic to its stores.
And that's all we have time for in this edition of World Business Report. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.